up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Quick round of applause. We have been very consistent. I'm talking video after video. Now, it's not every day. I'm trying to work on that, but it's not every day. It's every couple days, but it's way better than what it was before, where I'm talking uploading 2 videos a month, 3 videos a month. That's just pathetic. We have been very consistent lately, and I appreciate you guys. You're clicking, you're liking, you're watching, but you're not subscribing. Over 96% of you, over 95, I don't know how if it's changed, hopefully it has, but I think over 95, 96% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're watching this and says subscribe, not subscribed, that's what I say all the time, hit that subscribe button. If you're feeling oh so generous today, make sure you turn on post notifications. Now, if you're in a really fucking good mood, like you're getting your dick sucked by the hottest girl later, gaming channel, link in the description. Go ahead and peep that while you're at it. But yeah, 3 disturbing true warehouse horror stories by Mr. Nightmare. Back with another Mr. Nightmare video. Of course, you guys love it. You guys love to see it. Before we jump into this, I just want to say, last video I did, the NHL 2021 bracket playoff thing is what I have set up. That was the last video. Go peep that. I think it's a very interesting video. Let me know your opinions if you're a hockey lover or anything like that. So go ahead and yeah, I'll try to remember to put the link in the description. If it's not there, then oh well, just go click on the video, I guess. But yeah, another one of these Mr. Nightmare videos that is kind of a weird concept of story. You know what I mean? A weird I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. A theme. The theme to the stories. You go to other stories, it's like, you know, Snapchat horror stories, Instagram horror stories, social media horror stories, different types of horror stories. No, this is warehouse horror stories. Just the weirdest theme, and honestly seems like it's grounds for a lot of scary shit to take place in this video. So yeah, if you guys like watching me get terrible social anxiety, scared to talk to people because I'm afraid they're gonna do shit that are in these stories, go ahead and hit the like button. Alright? But yeah, 3 disturbing true warehouse horror stories. Let's jump on into it. Warehouse horror stories. That factory work. Sean Keith Williams. Motherfucker has like 3 first names.
I was assigned as a security guard with the midnight shift at a very large Omaha warehouse when I was a young man. This building was mainly used for storage.
Got bands for it too.
We as security personnel were tasked with hitting several stations inside this building on the night shifts, and this required that we did a lot of walking. There would always be 2 personnel assigned to the warehouse
get
at night.
Bands and
One
getting
patrolling the
exercise.
outside perimeter in a car,
job, easy money.
One inside the warehouse on foot. Being outside, sitting in the comfort of a car, was obviously the more desirable of the 2.
Yeah.
I was working a Wednesday night.
It's probably scary for them too. Probably more scary for them because they don't get guns. You know what I'm saying? They don't get guns. They get a fucking taser if they're fucking lucky. They get a taser and they get this little stick. They get this stick. So if a group tries to rob this warehouse, they expect them to run into this and be superheroes. Like, fucking stop what you're doing. I got a goddamn stick. Like I mean, I know it's a rent-a-cop type of situation over here. You're just trying to get security and shit. No one ever takes them seriously. Let's be honest. They don't even take themselves seriously. Probably get some bans for it though. I mean, you gotta go there and secure the perimeters with a fucking beating stick, maybe. I mean, they can do damage if you're trying to fight a fucking guy in a wheelchair, maybe. But when it comes to this situation, if someone is to try and rob the warehouse, a beating stick probably isn't gonna do much, because I don't think anyone is gonna rob a warehouse like unarmed. You get what I'm saying? The only stupid idiot you can maybe get across is a guy with a knife. That's if he doesn't know how to throw the bitch. You get what I'm saying?
Half an hour into my shift, I would start the shifts walking around for about an hour, just surveilling the place before sitting down in one of the security offices. This room had some low-budget, ancient camera system that at the time was impressive technology, but it only had 2 screens because there were only 2 cameras in the entire warehouse. One in the northeast corner and one in the southwest corner.
There you go.
That's why we couldn't just sit on our butts in the security office our entire shifts and had to actually patrol the place. This was a shared warehouse for some tech companies, and a lot of expensive equipment was held here, hence why 2 security guards would have to be there every single night. The warehouse layout was similar to that of a regular grocery store. There were like 10 to 15 aisles, and one intersecting aisle that cuts between the other 10 to 15 in the middle. I was still making my initial rounds around the place, when I saw all the way down at the end of the aisle I was in, something at the end section. It was like this white thing that kind of resembled the shape of a head, and it was poking out from behind the end section. Mind you, it was so far away that all I could make from it was this white-looking object.
Gross.
I elevated my slow stroll to a moderately quick speed walk, and halfway through the aisle, the white thing disappeared behind the tower of
How fucking
boxes.
intimidating would
This
that be? How fucking intimidating do you think that could be? Just because you got a little fucking badge that says security or some shit, you think that's gonna intimidate a fool to speed walk at them? Oh my god, I could just imagine that. No, bro. If this dude would just be toying with him. If you're robbing the place or just doing anything sadistic, you could just toy with these. You just toy with these fuckers. You could just play around with them. Like, oh, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna beat me? Is that what you're gonna do?
Fern my fear that it was a person.
Throw a knife, no.
And that I wasn't alone in there. I now ran to the end of the aisle, hoping to see the other night guard walking around or something. As I stood in the southwest corner of this giant warehouse, I looked up at the camera in the corner, and it was pointing in the direction of the thing I just saw. I looked in that direction, and there it was again, at maybe the 7th aisle, that white thing I saw earlier. And now it was a lot closer.
Crank them
I
lights
made it
up.
out to be someone's face, as I feared. But it wasn't the other security guard. It was this extremely pale, ghoulish-looking face.
It's a dead head.
They once again slowly hid their face behind the tower of boxes. I walkie-talkied
This was
the
the
other guard
same type of
immediately.
story for the movie theater horror stories when they see this dude kind of like peeking his head from the chairs. Like, what is he doing? They found out it was just a human head just jammed on a stick. That's going to be the type of story this is. I'm gonna act surprised for the thumbnail, but I know how this is leading. I know where this is
He
leading.
radioed back that he was in the car by the back section of the parking lot. He said roger that, he'd be here in 5.
5, goddamn.
Getting off the
Speed
phone
walk
with
your
him,
ass
I
up.
was nervous to approach the aisle that I saw the person's head. Even though this is exactly what a security guard's purpose and job is, you never actually expect or anticipate seeing any action.
Yeah.
I took a deep breath and ran to that aisle and stopped at the end of it to look down it. The person wasn't in sight. I figured they must have ran for it. So I ran halfway down hoping to catch up to them, but I stopped when I smelt this horrible putrid odor. It smelled like a dead, rotting carcass. I followed the scent until it
That's
became
probably what it
overwhelming, and I
is.
found the source of it. It was coming from this
It was a
big
dead,
wooden
rotting
box that was
carcass.
different from the rest of the boxes. I pulled the lid off the box, and inside was a dead body laying in a pool of blood.
No
The
head.
most shocking part of it was that it was missing a head.
Mm-hmm.
I walkie-talkied to the other security guard again, and yelled at him to call the police and report a
Bro,
dead body in the warehouse.
I listened to too many of these
This
stories.
all
I know how
went
they're
on
all
as
playing
fast
out
as I
right
could
now.
to the back exit of the warehouse, struggling to get enough air. I threw up the second I made it out the door. I ran to the other security guard's car and sat in there with him, gasping for air. He was still on the phone with the police, so I took the phone and told them whatever the other security guy didn't. Given the nature of the situation, they sent like 5 or 6 cop cars and basically had the entire place surrounded.
Yeah, makes sense.
The body was loaded into an ambulance, and for a good chunk of the night, police were in the warehouse.
To a
waiting for-
fucking ambulance. Dude's got no head. Don't worry, we can save him. What the fuck do you think is gonna happen? What's the point of bringing an ambulance? What are you gonna do? You're just wasting your own goddamn gas. You're gonna charge the dead guy fucking $4,000 to ride an ambulance? Dude's dead. You can't save him. It's beyond his fucking problem now.
work. Perhaps the weirdest part of all of this
Fuck.
is that when trying to go back to the video
What
footage
does he
captured from the
care?
night before, the footage cut out for about 3 hours in the middle of the night. There was no explanation for this
God.
happening. I've thought about this night for almost my entire life, basically. I don't believe in
Probably.
ghosts or anything, but I don't really have an explanation for this. I've thought about some
Ghosts.
far-fetched possibilities, though, like that whoever the murderer was in the warehouse that night and
Yes.
was holding up the severed head of that body, hence why it looks so pale and ghoulish.
Yes.
In fact, it gave me chills just now thinking about it again.
That's why you thought it was Ghost. That's the most reasonable one. No, bro. Fucking Killer did it. Ghost would have been my last resort. Taylor Smith. Hey.
Several years ago, 2 friends and I heard from a mutual friend about this creepy abandoned warehouse or furniture store that was
Again,
only a few
abandoned
miles from
shit.
my
People
house.
always want to go see abandoned
One night
shit.
while
But
on a
why?
drive, the 3 of us
Why?
decided to check it out. We parked at a Walgreens a few hundred yards from the warehouse and started walking towards it. As we got closer, our friend, I'll call him Jim, kind of chickened out and stayed back while me and my other friend,
Jim's
called Mark,
fucking
continued
Jim,
on.
your friend
As
Jim's
we
fucking
approached the
smart.
right
He's the
side
only
of the
smart
building,
one there.
it became very obvious that this place had been abandoned
He's
for
just
a very
avoiding
long
the
time.
trauma.
The front entrance was boarded up, and there were vines and ivy growing all over the building. Our mutual friend said that the only way in was through a busted-in wall in the back. We went around back,
What?
and sure enough, there was a broken-in narrow section of wall we could get in through. We stepped in, and it was completely dark. We couldn't see our hands in front of our faces, so we turned on the flashlights on our phones and looked around. There was trash and debris everywhere on the concrete floors. We were in what appeared to be the main room of the old store, and it was huge. An entire football field could probably fit in this room. We could even hear an echo when we talked.
Anybody
We started
want to
looking
run
along
some
the
ones,
walls,
bro?
which were covered in graffiti. The graffiti was littered with what must have been gang symbols as well as profanity, as you would expect.
Oh yeah.
What was really unsettling, though, is that as we moved further along the back wall, the graffiti was getting more and more disturbing. One of them read, "Kill yourself tonight." Then the graffiti was getting satanic. There were tons of inverted crosses, pentagrams, 666s, and violent scenes depicted. While this stuff was creepy enough, it wasn't the worst of what we saw. Towards the end of the building, there were some steps leading to smaller rooms. As we shone our lights on the steps, we saw a large, dry pool of what was probably blood all over the steps. This deterred us from exploring the smaller rooms beyond, so we
Gang
headed
shit.
to the left side of the room. As we were walking, our lights caught something hanging from the ceiling.
Uh-oh.
We got closer and saw what it was.
There's a head.
It
Body.
was a noose, still hanging from one of the rafters. It became very obvious that the people that come to this place use it for very evil purposes.
Yeah, the person who read
Yeah,
that
we
sign on the
decided
wall
we'd
took it
spend
very,
enough time
very
there and
seriously.
headed for the hole in the wall we entered through. We got outside and saw that there was another, smaller building/warehouse behind the main one. Despite the freaky things we saw inside, we were still curious and decided to check this
Oh yeah,
one
still
out too.
curious. How do you think this
Something that
news
was
works?
very
Do you think it
odd
really
was that
works?
There was a small room in the front of the warehouse that had no doors, only one window. Inside was a large inverted cross hanging from the decrepit ceiling. We came to the left side of the warehouse where the large garage-style entrance was. This building was similar to the first one. It was one large empty room with tons of trash everywhere.
Someone's living
More
there.
disturbing graffiti. However, there were these holes at the base of the walls that were really odd looking.
Glory holes.
We shined our lights
Yup.
down them, but couldn't see the bottom. What were these for? We had seen enough at this point and headed back outside. It was then that my friend Mark got a call from Jim. As he was talking to Jim, his face suddenly changed to a downright horrified expression. I said, "What's wrong?" What he said next sent a chill down my spine.
Jim's dead.
"Someone else is here," he said. Before we could even turn to run, a white truck peeled around the corner at an alarming speed, heading right towards us.
Huh.
We started booking it towards my car, and as we got around the other back corner of the
Beautiful.
building, we saw another black truck parked alongside. But we kept running as fast as we could, and thankfully the three of us made it back to my car. We got in and peeled out of there. I don't know what those guys in the trucks were there for, or why they chased after us.
I don't know either, because usually
Based on what
hobos
we
don't
saw in
have
those
cars,
buildings,
or else they'd
it
just be
wasn't
sleeping in
anything
there.
good. Thankfully, we never found out, and we never returned to that place.
And guess who's not traumatized? Jim. He ain't the one reading or writing these fucking stories. Exactly. Call him chicken shit. I don't give a damn. Toozy. Story 3 by Toozy.
In my mid-20s,
Oh,
I used to
I'm
be a
gonna trust
party
a guy
planner and
named
event coordinator.
Toozy.
I was basically in charge of throwing dope parties for this record label group.
Yeah.
I'd have to rent out venues for a night or weekends, which would allow us to host our events in these places. Usually we wouldn't pay until after the event, and the landlord or owner of whatever property we were using would take a cut of the profits. There was this one time that my group rented this big warehouse for an entire weekend. We would be hosting parties Friday and Saturday night. Once the place was rented out, I had to do a lot of setting up, which included setting up tables for bottle service, setting up portable bars, and a DJ stand. A lot of work would go into these kinds of pop-up venues, but they were always extremely profitable. My buddy Jack, who was also on the event planning team, was helping me on the Wednesday before the party weekend. He drove a truck full of equipment to the empty parking lot that the warehouse sat in. I was having trouble figuring out how to get the power to a certain part of the warehouse activated. I looked for any kind of electrical panel or circuit breaker box, but I was having trouble finding one.
Well, now
the
I was
building owner
making
I
fun of
dealt
this
with.
dude's name for being Toozy. Maybe that's like a stage name or some shit. You know how YouTubers have weird names? Maybe this guy's name is Toozy, and maybe he's like actually a big deal. You know, he's a massive party planner. Now he's a fucking big ass music producer, some weird shit like that.
Call, and he picked up almost right away. His name's Carter. He told me exactly where to go for the electrical panel that would turn on the specific lights I was looking for. He directed me to a door that had an exit sign on top of it, but it wasn't on. Through this door, I was in a very short, very narrow space with a door on one side, which
wonder
I
if he's
presume
setting
led to
you
the
up.
outside,
Setting
and then a
your
half
ass up.
flight of stairs on the other side.
I know
was
now
supposed to
why
go
he
down
said
this
he
half flight of
was
stairs,
a party planner.
which led to another tight
Probably
space
'cause of
with a
this, he
couple
quit.
doors. This room was hard to explain without just seeing it for yourself. I'm 6'4", so I had to bend down a little bit just so my head
Subtle
wouldn't hit the
flex.
ceiling.
Little
That's how
subtle
cramped it
flex.
was down there. This level had very dim nightlight kind of lights hung on the ceiling. Dim, but enough light to navigate just fine. I found the electrical panel, and Carter told me exactly which switches to flip. Then I shut the panel door and turned the key to lock it, even though he told me to just leave the key in the lock. I thanked him and our call ended. I heard a loud and obvious buzzing sound that would be going off in spasms. I followed the sound of it to a door leading to a pitch
Oh,
black
bro,
room.
why do you care?
Pulling the door open was hard as it scraped against the concrete floor.
Why do you care this
There was
much?
this red light in the top corner of the room that synchronized with the buzzing sound. When the buzzing stopped, the light would also turn off. I was trying to figure out what it was, but it didn't make sense.
Bro, you fucking private investigator.
Stepped
Just go
deeper
worry
into
about
the
your
room
party.
and noticed whenever I moved, the light would turn on and the buzzing would sound. When I stood still, it stopped.
Motion sensors.
I don't
There
know
you go.
why,
Problem.
but I was
Problem
creeped
solved.
out.
Get out of here.
So I went back to the doorway of the
There you
room.
go.
I took one more look inside, and the red light turned on again, lighting up the room with this eerie red glow. I decided to call Carter and tell him about the potential problem with the light and the buzzing.
Probably him. Carter's the one with the fucking red light. Bro, red lights aren't a good thing. Why would you be concerned with that? Why would you be walking around trying to figure it the fuck out? Red light means one of two things. Sex or murder. And you probably don't want either in that room.
Told me calmly that the light was a motion sensor, and the buzzing was because that one in the basement was busted. I asked what he meant by motion sensor, and he explained that there's at least one in every room in the building, as it's part of the security system. I looked back into the room, and the light was still on. I asked what could be setting it off in there, and he said he had no idea. And that's when I spotted it. There was someone, I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman because of the long, disheveled hair, sitting in one corner of this room, half hidden behind a pile of old boxes. Their eyes were the most noticeable feature because of how goddamn wide they were open. The mouth was like a half smile, and they were moving their arm in a manner that was as if to tell me to come here. I know it took me a few seconds to describe this person just now, but I was literally screaming at the sight of them in under a second. I slammed that door shut and ran back up
Oh,
the
holy
stairs
Carter!
and out that exit door. I told Carter we were leaving and not using the warehouse anymore. I didn't ask any more questions after that. I didn't care. It was his problem. I yelled at Jack to get everything he could back into the truck. We collected our
that's
stuff
what?
as quickly
It's
as
just
possible
my
and loaded
sister.
the truck back up and left. I didn't even bother locking the door to the warehouse. I just wanted to be far away from there. I still today don't know what to make of it. The Carter guy seems so weirdly calm about Mike telling him about a deranged-looking person in the basement of his warehouse. Thinking back, that light was probably going off because of that person sitting in the corner waving me over, or doing whatever the hell he or she was doing with their arm. It was a truly nightmare-inducing, horrible
Don't
experience.
doubt it. And that's why you're on Mr. Nightmare's channel. Yay. Maybe she needed help. Maybe Carter's fucked in the head and she needed help. I mean, I wouldn't have asked. I don't care. Called the cops maybe, but I don't know who's the good guy or the bad guy yet. I wouldn't have cared. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, anything else you want me to react to, leave it in the comments down below. Gaming channel, link in the description. We passed 50 subscribers. We're on the road to 60, and we're on the road to 100. I want to hit 100 subscribers on the gaming channel by 2022. I know that's a big stretch. I know that's a big ask, but I feel like we can make it happen. Go to the gaming channel, subscribe. I feel we can get 100 subscribers over there, and I want to hit 5K subscribers on this channel before the end of the year. That is my game plan, alright? So make sure you subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, again, and peace.